Year 5 and 6, welcome to week 5 of English. Today we are going to be doing some reading comprehensions based on chapters 8 and 9 from Touch and Avoid. The task for this week follows the same structure as that of week 3. So you'll be listening to chapters 8 and chapter 9 on the audiobook, and then there will be questions to answer afterwards. I have done a mild, a spicy and a hot comprehension, so you need to self-select which one you think is right for you. Same as last time, there are also in the comprehensions there are blue numbers in brackets, and that symbolises the amount of marks per question. That is mainly for year 6 because you are quite used to doing that now, Mrs. Mullis says, but year 5 we haven't done that yet, so don't panic about that part. You need to write the question in the margin, so write the number in the margin and then answer into your book. You do not need to write the question out. The plan for this week on our English sessions is we are going to be writing a non-chronological report based on the mountain Sabana Grande, which is the mountain that Joe and Simon are trying to climb. So the idea is today you will be gathering information for that, and then with your lessons with Mrs. Mullis on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, you're going to be looking at the features and then eventually writing up your own non-chronological report. So today we're going to be finding the information, and that alone is, can I retrieve, record and present information from non-fiction sources? So we need to start thinking about some key questions based on that mountain. So questions like, where is it? How tall is it? Why is it so dangerous? How many people have climbed it? And is there any other information that you would like to find out? On the next slide there are some links which have some good information, which are good links to some basic information that I have found, but of course you might be able to find your own based on the other information that you want to find. Just to remind you that you do not need to write these into paragraphs today. This is purely the information gathering side of things. So you just need to either record it into your book or save it onto a slide or a page so that you can collect all the information together, and then you'll be able to use this information to write your report. I look forward to seeing what you've produced on Friday.
In the next part of the video, there are going to be 3 levelled non-chronological reports, a hot, a spicy and a mild. I'd like you to go through and pause on whichever one you would like to choose, read the report, and then jot down in your book any of the features that you remember of a non-chronological report. Both Year 5 and Year 6 have covered this several times this year and in all likelihood in previous years as well. So please jot down in bullet points any of the features that you can remember of a non-chronological report. After the next part of the video, I will go through the features for you and talk about some of the main skills that we need to be using. We don't have time to go over all of these features, but have a quick look at this non-chronological report, looking at the headings in the different colours and seeing if you can remember these features. In the next part of the video, there will also be a skills list that will go over the main Year 5 and 6 skills that you can use in non-chronological report writing. Here are the Year 5 and Year 6 skills that you can use in a non-chronological report. We have covered most of these skills in class over the year, both Year 5 and Year 6. So if you can try to use as many of these skills as possible, that would be really good. We have already gone over the layout of a non-chronological report, so that's the first skill. Expanded noun phrases and pronouns is the skill that we're looking at today. Relative clauses and subordinate clauses you should be confident with using, but if not, do refer back to some of the previous PowerPoints. In terms of sentence starters, there will be a word bank to help you later on in the video today. Parenthesis would be a bit of a bonus. That's using brackets, commas or dashes to add extra detail. So do show off with that if you can. That would be fantastic. But I'm aware that we haven't covered that recently. So don't worry, especially Year 5, if you're not so confident with that. Technical vocabulary, that's just making sure that you use all of your research and using the correct terms for what you're talking about. And then Year 6, especially passive voice, we're going to look at that today. As a bonus, hot group, particularly in Year 6, you can give it a go using a semicolon to link related clauses, but there's not time to input on that today. So give it your best shot and let's see as many of these skills as you can in your writing, please. In an active sentence, the order is subject, verb, object. So dad is the subject, the person that is creating an action, state or occurrence. Then verb, the verb in this case is washed, which describes the action. Then the object, which is the person or thing that is being affected by the verb. So dad washed the car. The passive form has a different order compared to the active form. So instead of using subject, verb, object, we rearrange and switch the subject and the object. So what was the object in the original sentence becomes the subject. So at the bottom of the screen we have an active sentence. The teacher gave some children extra playtime. So we'd switch this around by saying some children were given extra playtime by the teacher. So normally the prepositional phrase with by is the clue to remember it is the passive form. So why do we use the passive? One reason is something called emphasis. The passive can draw attention to the person or thing being affected by the verb. So in the active sentence below, the boy screamed at the girl, the emphasis is on the boy. Whereas in the passive version, the girl was screamed at by the boy, the emphasis is now on the girl. Have a little think about when you think the different versions would be appropriate. Something else that passive voice helps us with is making our writing seem formal, and I've got some examples for you in the next part of the video. Here are some additional examples using passive voice that you might be able to use in your writing this week. So the first one, this mountain is inhabited by a variety of different animals. We can use this to make our writing sound more formal because the phrase is inhabited by sounds a lot better in that sentence compared to many different animals live on this mountain. I suppose you could say many different animals inhabit this mountain and that would work well, but this is a nice way of getting passive voice into your sentence and making it sound really formal. Also, it puts the emphasis back on the subject, this mountain, rather than the animals. So this non-chronological report, is about the mountain. It's not about the animals. So we can rearrange our sentence to make the emphasis on the mountain. In the next one, we've got climbing the dangerous peak has been attempted by many brave adventurers. So I'm starting this sentence with a verb so that it's an interesting sentence starter. And again, it sounds nice and formal, has been attempted by. You could have many brave adventurers have attempted to climb this dangerous peak. And that would work quite well here also. And then in the final sentence, Cielo Grande has long been considered the most dangerous mountain in the Americas. So this is where we're kind of getting an opinion in, has long been considered. There's an invisible by, so you could say has long been considered by mountain climbers the most dangerous mountain in the Americas. But in this case, we've got the emphasis again on the mountain and the nice formal phrase has long been considered. Instead of saying many people think that Cielo Grande is the most dangerous mountain in the Americas, that would work. It's just starting this sentence with the actual name of the mountain. So please read through this paragraph and see if you can spot a problem. It links to cohesion and flow. So can you spot the problem in this paragraph? Hopefully you spotted it, but the problem is there's far too much repetition. We've got the phrase the Rocky Mountains over and over and over again. And as you start to read it through, you should notice that it seems very clunky. We would often say clunky in class. It just doesn't work. We get sick and tired of hearing the Rocky Mountains as a phrase. So we need to find a different way of writing about the Rocky Mountains. So in your writing today, you will be thinking about Cielo Grande, so you might need to adapt this slightly to write about a mountain rather than a mountain range. But in the next part of the video, I'm going to show you how to improve and get rid of some of this repetition. So we're going to try and improve some of these repetitive noun phrases. We've got quite a lot of the Rocky Mountains. In fact, every sentence has the Rocky Mountains repeated in it. So we will start with the Rocky Mountains for our initial sentence, which is our topic sentence of the first sentence of this paragraph. So I'm going to leave the Rocky Mountains there. The Rocky Mountains are the longest mountain range in North America and are between the Appalachians and the Sierra Nevada. So I'm actually going to use a phrase because they're often called the Rockies. The Rocky Mountains are often called the Rockies. So we can say the Rocky Mountains, often called the Rockies, are the longest mountain range in North America. We can stop there. Then I'm going to rearrange this. I'm going to put this sentence together with the second sentence. So we know that they're between the Appalachians and the Sierra Nevada, and we know that they are over 3,000 miles long. They don't necessarily need an individual sentence for each of those points. So I'm going to start with my preposition. Over 3,000 miles long. And then we can have a new expanded noun phrase. So instead of the Rocky Mountains are, we can have over 3,000 miles long. This amazing mountain range is located between the Appalachians and the Sierra Nevada. So I've already made that much more interesting without just continually saying the Rocky Mountains. So I'm going to carry on. Let's use a different sentence starter like an adverb. Interestingly, the highest mountain we can just say in the Rockies here, in the Rockies is Mount Elbert in Colorado, which is 14,448 feet high. Good so far. Then again, I don't really like there are, so we can start with warm rainy summers and cold snowy winters are a feature of the climate there. So we can just take out the whole Rocky Mountains phrase altogether. In the Rocky Mountains there are forests of spruce, so we can say another expanded noun phrase, the fascinating mountain range is covered by forests of spruce, pine, oak, juniper and fir trees. The fascinating mountain range is covered by. Now if you were paying attention earlier, you will see that that is actually passive voice. The fascinating mountain range is covered by. Instead of forests cover the mountain range, we've got the mountain range is covered by forests of spruce, etc. I think we can incorporate this sentence here into that one. Covered by forests of spruce, pine, oak, juniper and fir trees, which are also inhabited by animals such as bighorn sheep, grizzly bears, black bears, coyotes, elk and deer. Exciting. And then we can finally just remove Rocky Mountains from this sentence. Hunters used to trap animals in, I think it's better to say across the mountain range because their fur was very valuable. So there we've rearranged some sentences and we've used synonyms and a variety of expanded noun phrases instead of just repeating the Rocky Mountains over and over again. So your task in a moment will be to do this for your own sample paragraph. So it's over to you. Your task is to replace the highlighted noun phrases in these repetitive sentences. Please write the improved paragraph in your book. You can rearrange the sentences too if you want to, just like I did in the last part of the video. So for the rest of your session today, we'd like you to use your research on Sierra Grande to plan a double page spread in your books. Both Year 5 and 6, you've created double page spreads several times before. And just to remind you, the process is research and make notes on your topic. Decide on your paragraph headings and plan what you're going to write in each section. You also might want to do a plan for how you're going to lay out and present your non-chronological report. Draft your writing before writing up the final outcome. And write up your double page spread and illustrate. Please aim for at least 3 paragraphs. So we need to go to our to-dos and scroll down until you find the to-do mountain report. Remember, this is optional, you don't have to publish on the computer, you can if you want to. Please draft your writing before you type it up so that you're not rushing when you're typing. Okay, so here is our basic template. We've got space for a title. You just click in here and you can change that to whatever you want it to be. Cielo Grande, some of you might have researched the Peruvian Andes instead. Then we've got space to type up our introduction. So you can simply type your introduction into this box, and if you want to, you can also change the size of each box by clicking and then clicking on the blue line of the text box, and then you can use these toggles to make the shape bigger or smaller. You can rotate the paragraph. It's really up to you what you do. So this is my space for my introduction. Once I finish typing it, I can select my text and I can change my font to something a bit more exciting. I can make it bigger or smaller. Think carefully about your use of font so that there's not too many different options throughout the piece of writing. You want it to look like it all goes together. You can change your colours. I might go for a bluey grey kind of scheme to give it a mountainous feel. You can also have a text highlight, so it will look something like that where it goes blue. So there's lots of creative options here. You can add some more images and text box if you want to. If you needed to add a new text box, you would simply drag one in, resize it as needed, and so on. But I've put 4 paragraphs there, which should be plenty. So let me just show you how you would delete this. You simply drag the text box down to the recycling bin, down to the bin, and then it's gone. So for instance, if you didn't need paragraph 4, let's just imagine we only wanted 3 paragraphs, you click on the edge and then you drag down into the bin. Okay. So the next thing I want to show you is how to change your subheadings to bold and underlined. So again, many of you will be able to figure this out yourself, but instead of writing paragraph 3, I've written my subheading. It's not a very exciting one, it just says animals and plants. I'm sure you can come up with a better one. So then once I've selected my animals and plants, I can go up to the text section and I can make it bold and underline, and then if we just click over here in the grey area, we can see that that's changed. I would love to make all of these nice different colours, but I'm not going to show you how to do that. I'm sure that you can figure that out yourself. It is just up here, like I mentioned earlier, change the text colour, and this is to change the background colour. Okay, so next thing I'm going to show you is how to change the size of your boxes so that your writing will fit in and be big enough. You can see that this introduction here is very small compared to the text of my paragraph subheadings. So I haven't finished typing it yet, but what I want to do is actually make my text box bigger by dragging this blue line. I'm clicking here and I'm dragging down, and then what should happen is once I start typing, it will immediately get bigger and fill the box. So it almost automatically resizes the text for the size of paragraph you have. So if having lots of different size of text bothers you, you can just make sure that every single text box is the same size. So this one was size 6, so I can select all of that, go to text and make sure that it is size 6 so that it's the same size as the rest of my writing, and then I can carry on typing here. Okay, one more thing then, which is how to insert clip art. I've actually saved some clip art for you, some images from the internet of Cielo Grande, things that will hopefully be useful for you. So to do so, you go up to this top corner here with clip art, the clip art picture, and you just click the word clip art. and you have to unminimize it by clicking this minus sign. And then I've given you all of these images here. It's very simple. All you need to do is click on one of the images. So I'm going to put this above animals and plants because it's one of the plants that grows there. And once you've clicked and dragged, you can then resize. You can stretch it. Try not to make it look really out of focus. You want it to be a nice clear picture, and you can drag to move it, to put it wherever you want. And if you want to, you can explore what happens when you click this colour wheel. You get to add things into the picture and things like that. So that's quite exciting. Then I'm seeing that's a little bit close, so I'm just going to move that down a little. Perfect. Let's just move that one up instead. It's not working. And then I've got this, which is the location, perhaps the formation. If you put a picture here, just bear in mind that this text box is going underneath the picture now. So what you might need to do is move the picture, resize the text box so that it's smaller, like that, and then bring the picture back up. Otherwise your writing will be hidden by your picture. And then I'm going to put one final one. Let's have a picture of just a mountain in general. That's a lovely one there. Click and drag. And I'm going to have that up at the top. Oh no, I think I'm going to have that down here instead of my paragraph 4 because we got rid of paragraph 4, didn't we? Okay, and then click on the grey area. The last thing I want to show you is really brief. It's just how to save your learning and share it with your teacher. So a parent guide has come out about this, but I just thought I'd briefly show you. You go up here to the menu. You need to click share. If it's saved as a to-do, you can just simply go to to-dos and click hand in. But this is how you can share your learning with your teacher directly. Once you've clicked share, you've got the option to send it using to email. You click on the to email button and then you will just type in your teacher. You can give it your subject and you can write down at the bottom about what you've sent. And then finally just check that the attachment is down there and then click send. So that will help you to submit your learning to your teacher. As I say, if it is a to-do, you can go to to-dos and click hand in and your teacher will see it. But if you'd like to send them an email with your learning, that's how you do it.
Chapter 10. Crossing the Glacier. I was happy. I had escaped from the crevasse. But when I looked around, I felt less confident. I saw the huge glacier and thought, you haven't even started yet. I could see there was still a lot of problems ahead of me. I had a broken leg and frostbite in both my hands. I didn't have any food or water. How could I survive a journey of almost 10 kilometers over dangerous ground to our camp? Slowly, I managed to hop to the glacier. But how would I cross it? Then I saw Simon's footprints in the snow. I knew that I would be safe if I followed them. I thought about the best way to move. I couldn't hop, so I lay on my left side. Then I hit both my axes into the snow. Finally, I used the axes to pull myself along the ground. I tried not to think of the kilometres between me and our camp. It was just too far. I had to break the problem into smaller pieces. I must reach that wave of snow over there in 20 minutes, I thought. Slowly and painfully, I started moving forward. I didn't think about reaching the camp. I only thought about reaching the place. Then I chose the next place and moved forward again. I did this again and again. From time to time, I stopped to eat snow and rest. I was soon moving forward quite well. As I crossed the glacier, I heard two voices in my head. The first voice was strong and sensible. It told me to forget the pain and keep moving. The only important thing was to reach the next place I had chosen. The second voice understood how I felt. "Rest for a while, your leg hurts," it would say. I tried not to listen to the suggestions of the second voice. Only the first voice would help me to survive. For a long time I followed Simon's footprints. The journey was like a game. I chose a place. If I reached it in less than 20 minutes, then I passed the test. This made me extremely happy. If it took me longer, I failed. Then I felt angry and upset. Everything was going quite well until it started to snow. This was a serious problem. I realised that the snow would soon hide Simon's footprints. I became extremely worried. I tried to move forward as fast as I could. I felt I was losing the race. It was getting dark, and the temperature was going down. I followed the footprints until I could see no more. It was dark. I lay down in the snow. I only wanted to sleep, but the wind kept waking me. And then the voice screamed inside my head, "Don't sleep! Don't sleep, not here! Keep going! Find a slope and dig a snow hole! Don't sleep!" I kept moving through the dark. I had no idea where I was going. Suddenly I fell down a steep slope. I couldn't stop, and I landed at the bottom of a huge pile of snow. It was time to stop. I crawled back up the snow and found a place to dig a hole for the night. I don't know how I managed to dig. I was extremely tired and thirsty, and the pain in my knee was terrible. It took me a long time to get into my sleeping bag. I lay down and looked at my watch. It was 10:30. I had crawled over the snow with no food or water and a badly broken leg for more than 12 hours. I knew I had to sleep, but I couldn't. I was safe, but pain and worry kept me awake. I worried that if I fell asleep, I might not wake up. For a long time, I lay in the dark with my eyes open. Finally, I closed my eyes and fell into a black, silent sleep.